All right, we should probably start though.
Yeah.
So I have shit to do.
Get me a serviette.
Yeah, I need to get him a serviette.
Yeah, they released.
Wait, we can just start.
We'll start. You don't need a serviette. We're good. They announced a new PTR patch. Me and Josh will just talk. This will be like an old episode. They released a new PTR patch. Nothing really changed in it. Just there's a higher mouse input setting, which kind of makes you. Well, what was the input before? Because like my polling rate on my mouse is like 1,000, but I guess
polling rate has nothing to do with input.
I think it's just raw input, right?
Yeah, if it's raw input, it just takes the 1-to-1 input of your mouse.
Yeah. It's what I don't really know much about hardware and stuff like that. I just know that it's what everybody in TF2 recommended was running raw input for everything, so that you don't have software messing around with it.
And then they just did a bunch of bug fixes. So there's not really
Does this go down?
Not really much of anything in there.
What? It's permanently this high?
Yeah.
Does that mean that they think the game is perfectly balanced?
No.
Perfectly.
No.
Yeah. What if there's no balance?
No, that means BlizzCon's next week. That's exactly what it means. That there's shit in there that people were like super angry about. They're just like being.
They're not making any changes.
You know how people are. They're just angry all the time about nothing. I mean, then they're like, oh, they added stuff for the workshop. It's like, okay, the BlizzCon's next week, guys. Let's
What did they add for the workshop? Actually?
So they new workshop features. So variable renaming, increase the numbers of allowed variables up to 128, and auto save presets and that stuff. That's way over our heads.
I know exactly what this means. Let me explain it to you.
Go on then.
Go.
So a variable is a named piece of memory in coding.
Okay.
And it's what you use to just define as like so when you're playing like a mini game, you might see like a ball like on Torb mini golf. One of the balls will be a variable.
Yeah, I'm kind of bored already.
That's awesome.
So being able to name them means that it's probably just going to be easier to code, but increasing the amount of variables you can have in a code also is very beneficial because it means you can just do way more crazier shit.
Oh, great breakdown. Now I'm way more interested.
That's like a
That's actually a good breakdown.
That's like
it was. I said it was.
Yeah.
No, but you're always sarcastic.
Nah, I knew he was being serious. I knew he was being serious.
Yeah, no, excellent. Well, I'm sure everyone at home really now understands what variables
so
are.
the mouse option I was talking about was it's high precision mouse input. So enabling this option allows Overwatch to use your mouse's native polling rate when determining exactly where to shoot. There may be a slight performance cost to enabling this option. So that's why I mentioned the polling rate, because I saw the polling rate.
So I might be wrong, but I think polling rate is just how often the mouse updates your position.
Is it just like?
But does that mean the game?
Yeah.
But was the game capping how many hertz it could poll at? That's what I was trying to say.
It's not hertz, I think, but
it is. I think it's.
I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Right?
Hertz just refresh rate per second.
Yeah, it's like a refresh rate. Yeah.
I don't know.
Mouse. I mean,
this is way over our heads. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think
all you need to know
really
is it's more precise, and it means I'm going to be more dominant.
Okay.
Yeah, Brennon has
some general hero updates, but I mean, I expect this patch to turn into something much bigger. May's Ice Wall, Baptiste's Immortality Field, and Sigma's Gravitic Flux will now heavily prefer edges over placing as far away as possible. So I guess it's just the way that it interacts. Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What the fuck does that mean?
And then you have
the 5-head. That will improve everything.
And then you have a bunch of just bug fixes.
Yeah. This is your classic roll into BlizzCon
fixed
kind
an
of
Anna bug that caused Anna's legs to twitch when her Pharaoh skin was equipped. Those are bugs like I don't even.
No one even knew
that could be true. That could be not true. Those are the quick play bugs.
How big was the patch?
Let me see if it's got the gigs in here.
The gigs.
Because sometimes they hide stuff in the patches, right? To only release later on. I think
it should say on the competitive Overwatch subreddit.
No, not on
They usually tell us the size.
Track.
But also, do you even have the necessary knowledge to be able to figure out whether?
Yeah, that happens in World of Warcraft.
That happens in World of Warcraft all the time.
They just mine
Josh,
the database.
I was a fucking programmer. Okay.
You did computer science for like 2 months or something.
Programmer, bro.
Yeah. You're a programmer. What do you think you could actually program?
Calculator.
You could program a calculator. Yeah. What, for like complex functions like sine, cosine?
Yeah, if I did enough research, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you did enough research, you could just find a calculator.
If I did enough research, I could speak Korean.
I mean,
well, you did enough research to buy a calculator.
But like the thing with programming is just reusing other people's code.
Oh, I think that's stealing.
No,
So wait, hold on. You're trying to say you're a programmer, but all you would do is look up other people's code and copy it.
So there are things called functions which exist in you basically just plugging in other people's code that they've made into your own code. You just need to know how to sort it and arrange it. But basically, people would already have the fucking cosine tan shit figured out. I wouldn't need to do any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I could just make a button and say, do this.
Cool.
With it.
Yeah,
right.
I'm definitely happy to move on from this.
Yeah.
We can move on to some of the moves in the Overwatch League. There have been some moves
that have
happened.
Been some moves.
Some caught me out of left field. I mean, I did not expect these.
I had no idea that they were coming.
Did not expect these.
A lot of these moves, I knew they were having them, but I couldn't say.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to. It's super unprofessional to just leak any of them.
Yep.
So I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's horrible, right? You know, you definitely don't want to do that. So, we can talk about the Outlaws first. The Outlaws, they add hydration and blase. So now what? That would bring them up to,
why have they done this?
So that would bring them up to 5 damage dealers.
I don't get it.
You got to imagine.
The best part about this is that nobody even bothered leaking it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though? Like, because hydration played like some Orisa, some Sigma. We've seen him play some tank. Do they try and move hydration into an off tank role?
No.
I don't think so. I think if you put either of these people on off tank, because Blase also played.
Blase did play some.
He played Roadhog and then he played a tragic diva.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think that's a throw if you do that.
Looking at this trade, I'm about to say some 5-head stuff.
Okay. All right, here we go.
You ready? So looking at this
I
trade,
like the 2 pickups. I like the players.
Yes, sure. But looking at this trade, or looking at them picking up both these players, your first glance, you're looking at this and like, there's a lot of overlapping roles.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of what they play. A bit counterintuitive, but what you need to understand with trades and off seasons is it's not like a lot of trades are made with some like House of Cards shit going on, where you're intending to make other trades off the back of it, and eventually you'll get a really good roster.
Yeah.
So a lot of teams don't get what they want because other teams are getting in the way. This is like some Game of Thrones shit. This is what the people
really
don't see behind the scenes with all of these trades being made. I'm not wording this eloquently at all. You probably don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. But
you mean, for example, like they're trying to trade these players towards them because they're maybe trying to trade like an off tank away.
There may have been an original thing that like we'll pick up hydration, and we know this team really wants hydration, so we'll make an offer for this to trade for this player because we really want that player. Like it's some intergalactic chess. Like trust, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I urge everybody when they take a look at these rosters when they eventually get announced in a month, to just think about that and keep that at the back of your minds. That this is probably not the end result of what a lot of these teams wanted.
I would also say too that like if you're the Outlaw, well, I mean if you're any team, right? I think next year having more just quality depth on your roster is important with the travel and how long the season is. Like you need quality backup player. Like I mean you could get by with like some backup players that were not close to starter caliber last year's, but I don't think you will be able to get away with that this next year.
It would be interesting to hear the opinions of actual GMs in the league and how they are thinking about the travel itself, because we know that it's already going to be a big factor. We know that the quality of play will probably go down because there will be so much traveling that you will practice less. And so it would be interesting to hear what the teams actually think, because I agree that it would actually be detrimental to the teams if they just were to travel all the same guys every weekend.
And also, though, some of the GMs that I've spoken to have wanted to kind of stick to a fairly small roster, despite the fact that you might intuitively want some depth because it's so expensive to travel 12 people around. Yeah. But maybe if you have 12 people on the roster, you only send out now, like,
could you
tour of China.
Could you leave like let's say if your starters are like Linkser and Hydration, like let's just use an example. Like, could you leave them home for like a week or two, right? Like, and like give them a rest.
It depends what
like,
games you had going on at that time.
Games you have, right? Like, if you know you're in a good spot, so. I'm just happy to see the Outlaws make moves in the positive direction.
But it still doesn't make sense that they picked up Blase and Hydration.
There's got to be another player.
I can't find two players with larger hero overlap than those two.
You want me to give you a scenario why that might have been the case?
Okay.
So let's say, for example, Flame, as he's the GM / whatever for the team. Flame makes a verbal agreement to one team saying that they're interested in hydration, they want to pick him up, and offers him a certain amount of money. And he doesn't think he's going to pick up hydration because he thinks the offer might fall through, or he thinks another team is offering money for it. So as a backup, they start prematurely going after Blase as well, filling a similar role. They both make verbal agreements to them, and instead of being a dickhead and turning down said offer, they just go through with it.
I don't think you do that.
The way you're thinking, dude, you should be really good at poker.
That does. I could see that as a hypothetical scenario, but why wouldn't you just be a prick at that point and deny?
Because Harsher's kind of
nice guy.
Harsher's a nice guy, and he's been in this position before, where he's been offered a verbal contract, allegedly. Being offered a verbal contract, they got turned down.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you got to look after number one at the end of the day, though, right? Yeah. Like, I feel most GMs wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's not like these guys are wasted pieces, though. Think of them as like valuable assets. I mean, you got one of the more marketable Western flex DPS players in the form of hydration.
Yeah.
Blase is very capable.
The only thing I'm wondering is like, the bringing back Boink. I think you were talking about it too.
Yes, yeah. I had a clip on my stream where I was talking about that got posted to Reddit, but I stand by it. I don't think that it makes sense to re-sign Boink when there's other main supports on the market.
Unless he's going to be your backup.
Yeah, I mean, sure, if he's going to be a backup,
specialist or something like that.
But even then, how big are the Outlaws going to make their roster, and how much money do you actually have to work with? Because this is a roster where they were talking about the fact that they were kind of broke this season.
Because you look at it, and even with these two additions, you still need an off tank, and you still need at least a flex support or a main support, right?
Yeah. I mean,
either one.
I would think most of these teams are actually going for 2 flex supports and 1 main support, because to me it makes sense the way the meta has developed. In that, in the past, like last year, we saw a lot of Senyara and Ana coming in, and then it was often the main support's role to swap over and play the Senyara or whatever. So you actually need 2 capable flex supports on every lineup. So with that, I could see them probably signing Boink to be their main support, but then bringing 2 flex supports. I think a lot of teams should do that.
Yeah, a lot of teams had trouble. Remember when playing Baptiste on main support? Baptiste on main support, right? A lot of teams had issues with that. But
I think the Outlaws have still got a way to go, and it depends how much money's in the bank. Because if at the end of this season, the end of this off season, we look back and they've still got big holes in flex support and off tank, you got to be looking at these moves now and saying, why did you bust all your money picking up 2?
They'll be super popular.
They'll be super popular. They're always going to be super popular.
Do you want to bother picking your starter, or not starter, but your 3 DPS players on Outlaws that you would expect them to field next season? Because now they have 5, okay? Yeah. And narrowing it down to 4, I feel like that might be a bit too easy.
They were all posting eyes on
3,
Twitter, right? They were like, one of them's definitely going. They're either trading, retiring, something like that.
I think
so 4 is easy.
I think the 3 you would. I think the 3 you would roll with. Well, it's hard because my initial gut was like Dante, Blase, and Hydration.
I would have gone with Dante, Hydration, and
I think you need
Linkser because you need a Widow.
Yeah, but you need the Widow, right?
That kind of stuff.
So you need Linkser, yeah.
I think Linkser is still a very capable player. I think Outlaws had a weird year last year.
Yeah, they did.
As such, a lot of the players on the team suffered, Linkser being one of them. We knew him as one of the best Widowmakers in the league in 2018. But then the meta didn't really suit him, and I think he had a poor start to the year. So I still think Linkser is very capable, but
my issue
needs to find his place somewhere.
Is he's inconsistent.
Yeah,
but I
think
a
little bit inconsistent.
If you already have Dante and Hydration to do the bulk of the lifting, and you just give Linkser some specialist heroes like the Widow, like McCree, like
May,
you
just have him focus down on those 3. I think he'd be fine.
I think his consistency would increase quite.
He had to try and play like Tracer and Pharah, and like he was playing Genji.
He was playing everything.
He was playing everything. I mean. I want to talk about this next team, not for the additions, but for everything that's gone on. So let's talk about London for a sec.
Oh boy!
London sees Nuss, Guard, Birdring all be released.
Yeah.
Prophet and Gesture, they get traded to Soul. We'll talk about the Soul portion of it in a bit, but let's focus on London. Their roster right now is Badoshin, Fury, and my main man Krillin with that haircut.
Krillin!
What a roster, dude! What a
How
roster.
many of these players? Oh, they do the coaching changes, right? Like they bring in Pavane, Agape. They're good coaches.
It's a decent coaching
Do you
roster.
think Badoshin, Fury, and Krillin are on this roster to start next season?
So I'm just
depends how much money they're soaking up in the salary.
Yeah. I think Fury goes.
I think Fury goes.
I think Fury to New York is like.
That makes so much sense.
That has to be the move that New York's trying to make.
Yeah.
Like with the
Meko
releasing Meko, bring in Fury, like that makes he's buddies with Jonak. That makes way too much sense. What about Badoshin?
He posted the eyes on Twitter.
They're gonna try and.
I don't know
also
what
posted-
it means. He posted the eyes.
They're gonna try and trade him.
coming.
But like,
try and
who
trade
do
him.
you think could use Bedosian?
Who needs to flex support? A lot of teams right now. Honestly,
It's hard to
weirdest thing
even keep track.
about Bedosian the past 2 years, in my mind, has been that he is this super capable flex supports that year in and year out has really impressive stats that back him up as a player. But then he sort of has to shift into the in-game leader kind of role all the time.
continue.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's
And
extremely disrespectful.
I'm just like, what direction does Bedosian want to go? Does he actually want to be an in-game leader?
I don't think
or
so.
does he just want to give someone else those responsibilities and he can just focus on his own gameplay? Because I think that he's still not a superstar, but he's a star flex support player if he can just play his own game.
Yeah.
But it feels like in London Spitfire, he was
Yo.
sort of shunned into this
So-
Remember the
leadership kind of role.
remember the Bedosian hog?
Yeah, Bedosian's very talented.
So
very talented.
thinking about some of the teams that he could make some sense for being picked up. The Justice, they release all their supports.
Yeah, that's
right.
true. He could be a very good pickup. For
Justice makes sense.
that would have been sick.
Maybe even Shanghai Dragons, because they probably weren't sold on Luffy because they had Izayaki in the mix, right? You bring
He's
in
definitely an upgrade over Luffy and
Yo,
Izayaki.
walk Bedosian to Paris.
Bedosian.
Bedosian
to Paris is
That's
an
weird,
odd
though.
move, but
I mean, we can talk about the Paris stuff later.
he'll
but
talk about
that's
Paris later. Yeah,
mind
yeah.
blowing.
Really after that, like Florida.
I think Florida is going to have a decent Korean team by the end of it because they'll just pick up all the pieces of people that didn't find other homes.
Yeah.
That's my theory for
What
Mayhem.
So word on the
What about
street is
Bedosian
with
to
Florida.
Atlanta?
Huh?
Bedosian to Atlanta.
No,
I
think
could see that. I think
Dogman's
Maybe.
good.
it's a weird move, but
No,
He doesn't really
you want to
fit
keep
that
Dogman.
team's like environment, though. I feel like
the
Dogman and
mic
like
is
Baby
broken.
Bay like
Rigged.
are those.
I don't think it's broken, dude.
I think you.
low volume.
Well,
Well,
sounds
you
more
just
like
need to talk into
sounds
it.
more like
Hello,
you.
I'm testing.
So,
Chat, can you hear
word,
me?
word on the street is
Yeah.
on the rumor mill. I didn't know this, so I don't. I can't verify if the rumor is credible or not.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll have
Because
Josh
normally when I
verify
come
it.
out with rumors, they often come true. Everyone knows
Yep.
this.
So that would be leaks.
Well, yeah, but I this is sure. Yeah, I mean, normally when I leak something, I leak the juice. Okay, but this is something I've just been hearing.
Yeah.
Rumors. I actually don't know if this is
So
true.
just say it already. You've gone
But
all around
Florida are
about.
looking at picking up the entirety of Runaway.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's I think.
See, you read a
that
Reddit thread.
already, I think that already fell through.
Yeah.
I think.
I think they've already.
Hence why I said
Right.
Yeah.
it's not a Bren official leak.
Right. Okay. It's not the Bren juice.
It's not the Bren
just-
juice. It's not from my sources. This is like a weird rumor mill, and I don't
Yeah.
work off rumors. I am Michael. I ain't the Fortnite guy. I don't work off of rumors.
Yeah. I think Mayhem will be looking to make some big
But,
pickups, but who knows who?
I mean, Bedosian
wants to play for
Bedosian to Dallas. Is he better than Unko? I don't know. I think they're like.
What the hell are Dallas doing? Who knows? I mean, at that point, you have no idea.
Yeah,
but,
I mean-
but London, I think, are really interesting because if they're gonna get rid of all of their star players, they should have just gone full UK or full EU. That's how you salvage that team.
Well,
And
they haven't
instead-
signed anybody.
Who's you
But they've
pick
got a
up?
full Korean coaching staff.
Here's
How
who-
are they going to
here's
go
who they pick
European
up.
now?
Numlock, Smex.
Yeah.
There's your tank line right there.
Oh, they would be fan favorites. I mean, there would be people drinking in the
Kib,
crowd, going crazy.
yeah.
They wouldn't thought they wouldn't
Kib,
like 8 games.
now
but
free agent.
Yeah, Kib is actually.
Kib's
now.
free agent.
Now free agent. KSP
Yeah.
available and waiting.
Move him up.
So now you've got your hit scan, your flex DPS.
But
We
both
need
Funny
support
Astro
line.
and Cruz are both signed to teams at the moment.
yeah.
Just buy out Cruz.
You could try and buy out.
It can't
Cruz.
cost that much. Just buy him out.
Put some respect on Cruz's name, dog.
Sorry, Cruz.
He's
Yeah, he's a
playing.
legend. He's a Spanish legend.
Yeah.
So I think London's a wait and see. I think it's interesting. I think probably the next domino to fall there is Fury going somewhere.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the player a lot of teams asking, want. He makes sense for New York. Shanghai makes some sense for.
I would love to see a UK lineup
Uh,
in Krillin.
UK
Yes.
and Krillin.
Yo, I'd be all about that too.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. What the fuck does Krillin even play?
Sombra?
I can't remember.
He plays Sombra.
No,
I can't
no, he
remember
doesn't
his
play
role.
Sombra.
He's
That
a
was
support,
guard.
Oh, he's a
bro.
support. Wait,
He's
I
a
mixed him
support.
up with
No,
guard.
you know what
I
this
mixed him
guy's
up
like?
with
This guy's
guard.
like, oh, who did this
I
guy
mixed him up
play
with
for?
guard.
Contenders,
Yeah.
dude. He's like going at me. And then he
How
comes
much you know about
out.
Krillin?
He comes out. He's sitting in the production room all year. Krillin, he's got that dope haircut. Doesn't even know what he
He sounded
plays.
like a
bro.
contender summer player.
The ball cut and the mullet gone.
Oh, my lord.
Support? You play
that's so
support?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
well, that feels like one of your UK super team supports. You just have Krillin.
Sure, you have
Krillin, the UK
Krillin plus
suiting.
Team UK.
Is that why you turned down my mic?
So yeah, that's why we turned it off. So the gladiators. So Ripa, who never saw the stage. See you later, buddy.
Yeah.
Roar goes to Justice. Hydration goes to the Outlaws. And they bring back Shaz and Big Goose, and they bring in Space.
Nice.
Two
There you go,
mics.
two
Johnny
mics.
Johnny likes to feel
I got the
important.
double,
Johnny two
double mic
mics.
set up.
Don't, people are going to Photoshop that shit. Do that again. Do that.
They bring in
will they?
Space.
Yeah, the space pickup huge. I didn't see that coming at all.
That
no
is sick.
No idea about the numbers involved. Very difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But
I've heard rumors.
really, I haven't heard anything.
Um,
That's a huge pickup, and it really indicates that gladiators are not just shedding everybody and going
Yeah.
for a cheap system. They're actually trying
So,
to make
so right
people-
now you would think their starters are like Shaz and Big Goose.
Obviously,
in the
they're
supports,
incredible.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're great. Decay still on the roster.
still on the roster. Yes,
Sure, Force still on the roster.
Sure, still technically
on the
Decay and
roster.
Sureforce still
You
technically on the
sound a
roster.
bit timid.
They have Space in the off tank, and then they have a main tank position open. You think they fill that main tank position with somebody who at least speaks
I'll
English,
tell you,
right?
I
In some
love
capacity?
Space as an individual.
Oh, he's.
I think
individual,
he's
as a
I think
person.
he's fucking dope.
I was
Yeah, Space is
I was
fantastic.
confused. Like, even if the Valiant, they were. I mean, we'll talk about the Valiant after this. Even if they were gonna move a lot of players, I would have just kept Space for the brand. I mean, the guy is just cool. He's just a cool guy.
He's awesome.
He's one of the biggest Western superstars in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
league.
But it's-
I think he could be the biggest
Space
one.
is up there.
It's evident that the decisions being made right now for Valiant are not based off of logic. They're based,
well,
kind
no,
of, a
they
little
are.
bit of
I think
logic.
they're based off economical logic.
Economical logic, not.
Because their Call of Duty roster is sick. They just got announced.
They are putting a lot of their resources at the moment, it seems, into League of Legends and Call of Duty. And it seems that as a necessity, they have scaled back a little bit in Overwatch and just are doing like a bide their time and wait and see, and they'll explode later probably.
But I think there's a lot of players. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You go down.
Moneyball.
No, you go down. People say playing Moneyball, and people have no idea what the hell it means. They just,
Look at the numbers.
but there's so many players when you look at the free agent list that are like solid.
Yeah.
That like you have no idea where their home's going to be. So I don't think it's going to be a situation where they're not going to be able to put together a competitive roster. I think you just wait out, see who's available.
I don't know who's going to be their DPS.
KSF
Because
I'm
going to say it now, I don't expect them to keep Decay or Surefor.
Oh,
There've already
we're
been
talking
rumors
about-
about
yeah.
both of them flying around, going to different places. I think the Gladiators are in the market for another 2, maybe 3 DPS players, but I don't have an
Where do they
intuitive
come
sense
from?
of who those would be.
Where do they come from?
Probably contenders. Unless there's some big free agents floating around that I haven't thought of.
EQO.
There is
that's
EQO.
The thing.
That's a good
EQO
point.
to Gladiators makes a little bit of sense.
No,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Like, I talked about this on my stream yesterday, and I had so many questions in chat, just like, oh, where does this player go? Where does this player go? And I'm like, dude, there's so many roster slots in the league that you could justify every free agent to go to every team that it doesn't even really make sense to talk about it. We could talk about EQO as a player and his skill set, and we could realistically say that he can go to 5 different teams.
Yeah.
EQO
And
doesn't
we could make the
it
case
to
for
team.
him. But it's just like, why bother? Like, there's so much
Yeah.
up in the air that, like, you could have every DPS player in the world justify.
I tell you what, though, I mean,
it's
Fuck.
so
I mean,
hard.
you throw together a team of like Shaz, Big Goose, EQO, Decay, Space, and then you get a decent main tank. I like that roster.
Why? Who are you saying as the DPS there?
Decay and EQO.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
why
kind of
not
like that
Fleta?
roster. Why not Fleta?
Fleta's an interesting one,
Yeah.
actually,
Is he a
because
free agent?
I really
He's not
thought
free-
that
is he
Fleta would
free
stay
agent?
on Soul. No, he's not
No,
a
he's
free agent,
not.
but people were thinking that he might be because he removed a bunch of
There's
Soul
a
stuff
bunch
from
of
his
his-
Twitter.
From his
Which is
from his
usually
YouTube, from his YouTube.
That's usually the hint
from his YouTube
historically
channel.
that
Yeah.
when they remove the branding,
Yeah.
they're about
Something's
to
I'm just gonna put
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Team Sweden branding on my Twitter.
Let's talk about.
What is he? Where's doing? What's the matter?
I don't think there's much to talk about the Valiant because the Valiant their roster right now is custom KSF. So
Yes.
we'll
Mate,
see what
who
happens
the fuck
with
knows
that.
what's going to go on with the Valiant?
Yep.
They're probably going to pick up the old Florida
So
Mayhem
Paris, let's talk about Paris. Paris, they let go of Finzi, Danye, LH Cloudy, who I always used to see walking that Korean barbecue place by us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I found out their office was there. He was.
Yes,
I thought he was just eating Korean barbecue all the time. Me and Chelsea were like, me and Chelsea were like, yo, Cloudy's always going to the Korean barbecue with his jersey on. I always used to see him with his jersey on walking up and down the street. Turns out I saw money. He's like, "Oh, our office right here. You should come by." I was like, that
Did
makes
you break
sense.
it to him? Just like, I'm sorry, dude. Eating Korean
So that
barbecue
makes
does
sense.
not make you a better player.
And then Shadowburn. Shadowburn, he's gone. But they bring in Sparkle, which this has been like,
Bro.
I was like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah.
So previously, I've gone on rants about how picking up star players isn't effective when it comes to spending money, and I would still make that argument. But they picked up 9K, which signifies to me that they have a decent idea of where they want to take the coaching staff and the direction of this team. Even though 9K is not a head coach.
I like it though, because like I think the worst thing is like a fan for a team is be a fan of a team and then see your team do nothing. Like,
sure.
Like I'd rather see my team do something, whether it be like the Giants. They spend money dumb sometimes. But I get hype because we're getting somebody.
Sure. You go to the Paris games, you're gonna want to see Sparkle.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna see that boy pop
like
off.
even if they're not great, it gives you a reason to care. It gives you a reason to watch. Like,
but in our franchise league, I think it's a lot harder to justify that because now, if you're a French fan of Paris Eternal, it's like, okay, I want to go see Sparkle, but who is playing around Sparkle?
Who cares?
We become like the London Spitfire again, where it's like, how do you justify going to the Paris Eternal games? I think, are they going to like build around Sparkle with French players now to attract the French?
Yes,
like,
they are. They're going to keep their 4 French players.
Yeah, they have
a world in which they
Ben Best, Hip, Nico, and Soon. Yeah,
you're going to see something
like
the old LA Valiant team where they had French players and Korean players,
like Immortals, like when they were on Immortals.
This is going to be weird.
It's going to be super weird.
But Immortals was a fine team when they did it.
Why is this going to be weird?
Because you have half French, half Korean.
Okay, listen, fucking Wolf Schroeder, calm it. All right, jeez, putting out.
If I was Wolf Schroeder, I would have said full Korean.
Sure, exactly.
I gave you 3 French.
But here's why I think that's just silly, because you've got the one person. I would look at this roster and I would like, that's a little bit iffy. You're spending God knows how much money on this one individual player under the assumption that he's going to carry you to a win or whatever. I think that's an outdated mindset. But they picked up 9K, the one guy who for the past year and a half, 2 years, has literally seen the greatest mixed roster we've ever seen in Overwatch history be built, and the system that enabled it. So,
and he works he works on the same hierarchy as Krusty.
Right.
Krusty's the head coach, but he, Junkbuck, and 9K were all at the same level, making joint decisions. That'll be the same thing with Rush.
And
this guy is the best person you could pick up to enable this team to succeed.
Apart from Krusty himself.
Yes,
possibly.
Or Junkbuck.
Yeah, or Junkbuck as well.
Well, but they also it deserves mentioning that San Francisco Shock, they actually had players who wanted to follow that kind of a system.
Yeah.
So it comes down to how the coaches interact with the players on the team and actually build that mentality.
That's super easy,
though. They
though.
don't have that mentality in the first place. I mean, there's a lot
super
of
easy though, because if they don't have that mentality, then they move over to the left side of the column with the players who are departing. That's super easy. Yeah.
I feel like we've been in this position earlier this year, before the league booted up for this year.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about teams when they made these drastic pickups, and we're like, oh yeah, they're going to be having a top finish, when it's just not as simple as that.
But also, I would heavily expect now other Element Mystic players to come and join Paris.
Yes,
They still have 2 tank slots open, and I don't think that Ben Best stays as your main tank. I think that they bring in somebody else.
Those guys stay on the roster for fan service and stuff. Yeah.
I think Alpha and Hanbin are the 2 people that I would expect to follow Rush and Sparkle onto this team.
And then you feel Soon and Hip.
We gotta.
That's the weird shit, though, right? Because then their backline looks like it's so weak compared to the rest of the team. You've got Cruz and Heap as your backline.
Nah, there's people available, bro. There's people available.
Listen, we're forgetting the time he spent in Korea. That boy, he was eating the military soup. He's talking the local dialect.
You don't absorb talent by living in Korea.
He's calling people babo over the ranked experience. Cruz is good, I reckon.
You know
Cruz
what?
is going to be the bridge between the cultures.
You know what would be the most shocking move of the offseason?
Yeah.
Rouge Hong to Paris.
Bro, that would actually be wild. But how stupid is it that I can't argue against Jaehong to Paris or Mayhem? I can't argue against either of those.
I said earlier, it's like, Jaehong goes like 10 teams in the league.
But
Paris would be cool.
Bro,
it's like,
Jaehong, if you listen to this, but don't do it, bro. Just stay with Soul.
Why?
Like, it'll be like watching like Michael Jordan playing like the Wizards uniform. Like you're just kind of like, nah, that ain't Jordan. Like you just kind of looking at it like, nah, that ain't it, fam. Like
I think people are drastically overstating the benefit of a team's actual geographic location.
I don't think so.
I think they are.
No, yeah,
the amount of
people care about-
traveling
yeah,
that's involved, you are moving from a different place almost every single week. You are not going to be remaining
Not
in the
every
same
week.
place.
Not every
Almost every single week.
I think
Almost
it's
every
like-
single week, you're going to be moving to a different place. I will unplug your mic. Calm.
Sure,
No, it's
but-
not every
but-
week though.
but-
It's like once every 3,
Yeah.
isn't it, for these teams?
Not even that bad. You're in this place for what, the entirety of the season. Say they pick up Jaehoon picks up. People have been looking at the Sparkle pickup. They're so shocked at it because Sparkle's moving quite literally on the other side of the globe.
Yeah.
He's moving to the opposite side of the globe.
But
Well, they're not going to
they're
be
not
in
gonna be in Europe.
Paris.
They're not
Yeah,
gonna be
they're not
in
going to
They're not
live
going to be
in
based in Paris.
yeah.
Obviously, they wouldn't find good practice.
They'll
But
be
even
on
the
the
place
East
they
Coast.
are going to be based in, it's not permanent. It's a couple of months until the league's over, and then they can fuck off back to Seoul or wherever else.
Sure,
Yeah.
I think the thing teams struggle with the most this year, because we had 20 teams, was that a lot of teams struggled to build a brand identity. And I still think that even though Paris Eternal didn't have a lot of success with their team, they had a very strong European identity as a
but-
team, and that's why people were fans of them.
But French
I think
fans-
for a team like London Spitfire, despite them being really successful, having gesture and profit, I don't think they had really good, strong brand identity as a London team.
Yeah,
they
I
were
think
like,
that's
oh, that's
true.
a team, and they represent
Paris
London.
did
Yeah,
though.
but-
Paris have got 4
Paris did,
French
yeah.
players, and because they're keeping those French players,
They're still going
I-
to keep that.
I think
Yeah,
they'll
they're still
going
gonna
to
keep that.
Yeah.
because nobody was really a fan of Paris for Finzi or Danier or these other players that aren't French. And so adding Korean players in, you're essentially they're still they're still not French, but they're better and they're stars, and I think you can get excited
It works
about
into the next team on the list, which is Philly, because they keep Boombox and Poco, and then reported, by ESPN, I think Jake Wolf tweeted the other day, the Carpe with 3 years.
Wow,
That's
that's
true.
big.
Yeah.
But it's the same type of thing. You release everybody else. Those are the 3 players everybody cared about if you're a Philly fan, right? You keep Poco, you keep Boombox, he's fan favorite, and then Carpe as well.
I
You're in a
think
good
people
spot.
liked
But
EQO. I
EQO
think
as well, yeah.
Given the furor when EQO was announced as a free agent,
Well, yeah. How
I
can you not
think-
like him? He's the best
Yeah.
Western Flex DPS player that we've
Yes,
seen
he
in
is.
fucking
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
the
he
guy's
just is the best.
cracked.
Yeah.
he'll go to the Outlaws. EQO to the Outlaws, 6 DPS. Flame, give it to me.
Oh my
Inject it into my veins, Flame. Get another DPS. You won't. You won't.
That would be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
EQ
I'd be
and
shocked if
Neptuno
EQ
are
wasn't
fantastic
finding a team.
players. I mean,
Oh, EQ's going to find a team.
Well,
yeah,
Neptuno.
yeah.
Think about what you miss with Neptuno, like what Neptuno brings. I should say, he's veteran,
yeah.
steals your money in poker.
Yes.
He's cracked at that aspect, but he is an older figure in a league overwhelmingly full of sort
children.
younger guys. I wasn't going to say children.
Teams that make sense for Neptuno, what? Like, you're looking at, like, Boston, maybe, like, a Dallas.
He'll find a spot somewhere.
Yeah,
Boston,
I mean, he'll
Dallas,
find
Outlaws are the 3 that
Outlaws.
immediately
Dallas
came
did-
to mind.
What happened to Closer?
I mean, he's still there, but you
Closer's
think...
still there, but would you rather have Closer than Neptuno?
I think they're about
I
equal.
wouldn't.
I
think they're about
I
equal.
think Closer caught up. Okay, so
Toronto-
last episode, all I did was defend Dallas. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's this meme that I'm a Dallas fan, which is not true at all.
Right.
I just like to play devil's advocate sometimes. But I do think that Closer,
You own a Dallas jersey though.
Yeah, well, I own a Florida jersey and a Philadelphia Fusion jersey and a
guy's
New
so
York
fucking
jersey
weird.
and a London
This guy's
jersey.
so weird. Why? He's one of
I
those
like collecting
weird
jerseys.
fans who sits at the front. And
I
just
have a
switches out
Pacific
their
and an
jerseys.
Atlantic jersey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, say what you were going to say about
Start
Dallas.
ranting.
Well,
Start
I think
ranting.
that Closer caught a bit of a bad rep this year because of his team underperforming with him. You can only have such a big impact as a main support player that I think that Closer is still deserves to be in the Overwatch League. And I don't really think,
I mean, yeah.
like, how much should he be blamed for Dallas Fuel's performance
No, I don't think so.
last
I
year?
don't think we're saying that he deserves to be out of the league. I
But
think we're just
also,
saying you'd entertain Neptuno.
You need a new look if you're Dallas. You can't have the same thing. You can't even have the same core,
Sure.
I think, next year.
Sure.
And I also think that one of the problems with Closer was that there's no leadership figure on Dallas. I think that's been one of their biggest
That's
problems
true.
this entire year long.
Neptuno would fix that, yeah.
definitely fix that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I also think that Closer's inability to speak English very well was also a problem on that team because he's having to work with Unco, who also has a very thick accent, and then he's trying to work with AKM as well and
Yeah.
OG. They didn't have any good communication structure this
Yeah.
entire year
That
long,
makes a lot of
and I
sense.
do think that Neptuno
I
would
could see
help.
I could see Toronto being a potential landing spot
Yeah.
for Neptuno as well.
Reflecting,
But-
man, I can't see why was Dallas not more successful. Like that's a good backline. Or is
Dallas is
No, they
where good
won.
players go to die.
Okay.
Dallas has a terrible system. I think
Yeah.
I think
closer Unco, just like you hear that like a year ago.
Yeah,
like,
should have been all right.
That's sick.
That's why I was looking. I went on the Tactical Crouch podcast and we were reviewing our rankings from the beginning of this season. I had Dallas in 8th place because I thought Dallas would genuinely be good.
I thought they would be fine,
and they looked good. They looked good.
Yeah,
at
for
the
the
start
first half of the
slowed
season,
down.
they were okay.
Yeah,
They went. Didn't they go something like 1-13 in the last half of the season?
I mentioned the stat when I was casting one of their games later in the season. It's like they had not beaten anybody other than Florida or Washington since
March.
April.
Yeah,
April.
April. That makes more sense. Yeah.
It's wild. They just went on a
tragic.
crazy, tragic losing streak.
Yeah. One thing that has to go before we move on. One thing that has to go from Dallas is the constant substitutions between players, because we saw this at the first year of Overwatch League. We saw them flex between Taimo and AKM.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a reason
But you
for
see
it.
that-
I don't really like that. Then this year they swap between OG and they sub in Trill once every series. I'm like, you gotta step away from that.
You see that in pro sports too, and people have no idea what the hell's going on. They just throw shit at the wall and hope it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of what they're trying to do.
Has to go.
Soul Dynasty. So Munchkin, Toby, Zunba, Jaehung, all free. Fitz, Highly, Illicit, Jexay, Marvel, and Michelle still on the roster. We believe Fleta is I don't know whether Fleta was a free agent or team option or something like that. They get Gesture and Profit. So if you're trying to rebuild, you're okay starting there. I mean, that is a big move.
I think it's their CEO or something, like a big leadership figure in the company, tweeted out. I think it was, I can't remember who it was, and he was like, "Yeah, we're going big this year. Like we're actually going for the championship." No, I don't think it was Arnold. It was
Kevin?
someone above him. Yeah, probably Kevin. Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, we're going for the title this year." Like,
I mean, it looks like it. As soon as you buy Gesture and Profit, you're definitely going for the title.
Yeah.
But I also think that Gesture and Profit they're a double-edged sword in my opinion. They are excellent. They're the best duo that's ever existed in Overwatch, but they also, I think, are pretty difficult to coach. They always play their own way, and last year London really suffered for it, I think.
Here's the thing. When you have players like that and they're that good, you spend that much on them. Ain't no coach telling these guys what the fuck to do.
You sure?
I mean,
they have to, though.
Because you have to. They're going to have to. But, like, even in terms of, like, looking at the roster, they're going to be like, it's not going to be a situation where, like, they got Fissure and then he's on the bench, right?
Maybe.
Gesture's going to play.
There's a precedent for it.
There's a precedent Gesture's going to play,
They
bro.
benched Fissure.
Well,
they benched this man.
But
it's
Fissure,
different, though.
Fissure was well known as somebody that
he was on his third team at that point, like
full of conflict and that kind of stuff. Like, he's difficult to work with.
Gesture
is not difficult to work with.
He doesn't hurt a fly, dude.
No.
Gesture?
I would say Gesture might not be the easiest to coach because he might just think that his way is like the best way of doing things and he'll just play his method and that kind of stuff. But he's not he's not aggressive. He's not gonna butt heads with people in the same way that Fissure.
There's a lot of pressure on these guys now, though. I mean, they come in after winning year one, right? Still looked at as two of the best players in the league in year two.
Yeah.
And now they go back home to Seoul, which is like, you know...
I think that should be enough to break them a little bit to the point where they really are motivated to succeed. I think this year they just lacked motivation.
Do we know who the coach is? For
KDG still.
No, we don't.
No.
No, it's not KDG.
No, it's not KDG.
Not KDG?
They've said that KDG's left. I know you're feigning.
No, KDG's gone.
Bren's acting face is incredible.
It's not KDG.
No, it's not.
I
He's
actually
gone.
don't know who the new coach is.
They have not announced a new coach yet.
So, who could they get, though?
Wizard Hyung.
Get the fuck out.
Close to stream.
Leave. Turn off your mic and fuck off.
No. I was just saying something that was free.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
Who could they
The
get?
coaching staff might make or
they
break
actually
this.
got Runner and Flower win.
That would be nuts.
That's a weird pickup.
Do you think that's weird?
Soul.
Yeah. I think
I
that's a weird pickup.
think it is strange because they've never worked with any of the people before.
Who's available in terms of coaches?
I mean, let's think of the best coach. Junk Buck in theory.
Junk Buck was the one that came to my mind.
But I kind of thought that he would stay with the Shock after he hasn't been announced to go anywhere, because normally teams announce coaches before they announce the rest. But clearly it's not KDG. People thought it might be Rush.
Yeah, but it could be something where, like if
Rush.
you're Junk Buck and you go to Seoul, be like, hey, get Gesture, Profit, and one more player, and I'll join, right? Like you want to make sure like you have some pieces in place before you jump on, and like especially if you're relying on them to make big moves, like get gesture in profit. Like you need to see it happen before you sign up.
What about Bluehouse from No, Levi's already gone to Paris.
Yeah, Levi's in Paris.
Really?
Levi to Paris is a fantastic move as well. Paris is a stacked fucking coaching.
I will say,
for the moment.
I mean, a lot of the coaching moves have already been made. They just haven't been announced yet because these coaches are also the ones that are building these rosters.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that Seoul couldn't. Like, I don't see a reason why Seoul wouldn't be able to announce right now.
No.
They just probably have chosen not to.
Yeah.
Maybe paperwork hasn't been signed. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something like
that. They'll probably
still,
just announce
I
after.
don't know who it would be.
Yeah, I mean,
I think two prime candidates are Bluehouse and Junkbuck, but we'll see.
That's kind of what you would think. Junkbuck was the first one that came to my mind.
It's hard though as well. Coaching is the most difficult thing I find to judge.
Yeah.
Because you don't know whether, like, if a team's really clicking and they're performing really well, it's not the coaching staff who've enabled them.
I feel like we're starting to get some idea of it.
Like the only reason I know who the really capable coaches are, and the one thing that I trust the most, is when I'm talking to players and they talk about their coaches like they respect them.
Sometimes you can tell just by talking to the coaches. Though I remember talking to Krusty when he first joined the Shock last year, and immediately you knew this guy was
good.
On business. Yeah, the business. This guy. Trust me, if you ever get a chance to talk to Krusty,
you should. Except probably don't, because don't like mob him. You're just random fans, so like don't do that.
We can talk about the last like two teams real quick. Toronto, they release God Shriek 8, I'm 37, and Yakpung.
They're rebuilding. That's a rebuild.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yep. They announced Kareev.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay.
They announced Kareev.
Cool.
Kareev to Toronto.
They haven't announced anything else. When did they do this?
They announced it, I believe, yesterday.
Did they?
Yeah.
What, right after Kareev was announced, gone from Valiant?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
No, he tweeted Kareev tweeted the graphic that Toronto tweeted out. He said, "I'm the
king
right now."
I got some drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Toronto.
Go on then.
I got some drama juice. I don't know if I should tell, but I'm going to tell anyway.
What, the Bishop juice?
No.
Oh.
Not going to tell the Bishop juice. I'm going to tell you.
That's too juicy.
It's too juicy. I'm going to tell you the juice that is I'm 37. Okay. And the nature of him getting picked up as a player.
Okay, here we go.
What happened here?
So Toronto, as a team, internal strife all over the bloody shop.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody can really get a clear idea of where they want to go, what direction. And I'm not saying who, but there's a tilter in the team of Toronto who got so angry one time that he started screaming, saying, "You guys are shit. Just pick up this fucking ranked player." And that's how I'm 37 got picked up.
What?
Yeah.
Well, so
I like it.
What a strange.
Literally,
system.
it was like you guys are Garbo. This ranked player will be better than you guys.
So they just got it.
Picked it up.
You know, Toronto were doing great up until I'm 37 joined, and they mixed their entire roster around. They were actually doing well. I think they
tilter in the team.
They knew there was a reason.
A tilter in the team demanded this, and got all the Korean players to agree with this.
Okay, that's just phenomenal. I mean, Toronto needed a rebuild, but get whoever that was out.
Probably
of there
not probably not the best way to start it. And then Washington, they released. Dear God, they released so many people. Fozix, Arc, Sleepy, Otto, poor Otto, man.
Pronounce that.
Giannis, Hanyu, Sansam, Gita. Look,
whisper that one.
Say that again. Look, if you don't play, I don't know. Sorry. I mean, I think he came in 1 or 2 games, but
I don't even know whether he played. Did he play?
He did. He played in one game that Mitch and I casted. Mitch was like fumbling through the packet trying to figure out what he played. It was mad funny. And then they add Roar.
Yeah.
Tuba.
Okay, so Roar is an okay pickup.
I don't love it.
I don't love it either.
A different team environment sometimes is good.
I don't.
Yeah. Roar has had
it.
success in the past. He came second with Kongdi Panthera in contenders. They did all right. They were right there close to the Titans, but Roar has not had a good season this season.
I don't go off of what I've seen in contendees. I go off of what I saw last year, and I just not.
But also, he's mostly a Winston player, and we didn't see almost any Winston this year. So, if the meta goes back to that, maybe he looks a bit better.
And then they still have Corey Stratus, and then the 2 Swedes that Johnny likes.
I don't get the
Welsh.
moves that Justice are making.
No, I don't.
I'll be real.
Well, why do they
picked
keep
up
Eleva? Yeah.
They picked up the Swedish guys like in the middle of the season, and then they announced, "Oh, we can't get the visas in time, so we'll have to wait for next year." Then they bring in Annalyn and John Gall from Gladiators, and they're like, "Oh, we probably have an entirely new vision." So they pick up Roar from the Gladiators, and is Lotus
What is
going to see
what
playtime?
does Tuba play?
I don't expect
Tuba
this team
plays
to do well.
DPS, but also
Oh, okay.
at some point, I believe Tuba has also played Diva.
Well-
Back when Rollock wasn't a thing, but he's normally a DPS
You have
player.
John Galt and Annalyn, both from the
The
Glads.
vibe-
Do
the
they bring in
vibes is-
Void? Because now
Vibes'
Space
team
is on the
giving off. I don't give a
Gladiators.
fuck who they're bringing in. The vibes' team is giving off. I'm seeing shades of Florida and
What?
and Dallas.
I think they'll be better than
Toronto.
that.
I was so optimistic
Feels
going into
all
the
over the
offseason
place.
with
I
this
don't
team.
like it.
Because I was like, hey, you had a great stage 4. Corey and Stratos are starting to pop off and like young talent with their own brands, and then
But it's not like
fuck
the.
it all up. I'm
Nah,
like, what is
it's
it?
not like it's dead in the water.
What
though.
were the
Yeah.
good points in stage 4?
I'm so confused.
Corey
what
and
they're doing.
Stratus.
It was just
It
Corey
was
and
just
Stratus,
Corey and
right?
Stratus. There
And-
was
and-
nothing else to be excited about with the
and
team in
probably
stage 4.
like Arc, you would have won a kept Arc.
Maybe,
right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
I think, as long as they sign somebody decent at main support, whether that be Arc, whether they get Neptuno or something like that,
Right.
I'm fine with this team because
Like, dude, if you're
the tank line is just fluff.
let's
to make-
but let's
to
say
make
for
space
argument's sake
Corey
they
and
end up
Stratus.
with like Roar. Let's say they get Void as well. They bring over the Gladiator
Sure.
tank line, and then they end up with like Neptuno, and let's say they can swing a deal for Bedosian. You feel pretty decent about that team.
Yes, I mean those two signings would be huge at the end.
Right.
The-
If they
the
pick up
support
good
line.
players, I'm excited about this team.
No, but it's
Yeah.
not like no, but it's not like there's a bunch of bums out there. I mean, they can sort it out pretty quick.
My issue is
It's not going to be hard.
My
can't
issue with
expect
this
them
team
to.
is that they look like they want to spend money, but they look like they're making offers and yet only getting the dregs back.
Yeah.
Almost as if no one wants to play for them. You know what I mean? They must be putting money out there in order to get guys like Raw and bid over people like Tuba and that kind of stuff.
But like, if you're going to pick up Roar, I would have rather spent like probably you assume like less money and got somebody like Trill and then thrown money
Thrill.
somewhere else.
Thrill instead of Roar.
Ooh.
But I think if you already have like.
How do you justify that?
Because I would
don't
rather-
have anything against Trill, but
I'd
how do
rather
you
spend
justify
money on the rest of the roster. Like I imagine Roar was not cheap.
You ain't getting Trill's contract.
Why?
Like I imagine
Oh,
because it's
Dallas
probably
let
pretty
us spend all
good.
the
Yeah.
money, baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you do you break your bank and spend for Roar? I mean, I probably would have
I'm just
went a
saying,
different
if they
direction.
if they saved money and picked up Star Contenders tank, I probably would have liked them to do that over having
I'm
two.
also-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I would have
think
rather
there aren't that
them.
many great main tanks. I don't even think there are really any star contenders main tanks. I know that's going to be
Yeah.
a hot sell, but Mag is the only one that I would like hardcore go for.
You
And
want to go for Alpha?
No, not really. I was watching VODs of Alpha, and I think that.
Although I
he's a little bit all
do
over
feel
the
like
place.
main tank is the one. I don't want to say. Could you say it's the weakest position in Overwatch League, like
Why?
in terms of
As in
depth?
the
yeah,
least depth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the least depth,
also,
I think
though,
probably.
Why are we implying that Raw was picked up for mad money, or they spent a lot of their budget on Raw?
Probably because if Gladiators are selling these players, and Raw was previously one of the hottest coming out of.
Yeah, he was- Raw's
second
stock's pretty
placing
good, yeah.
contenders comes into Gladiators. Gladiators finished top 5. That's like he.
Yeah,
ain't-
his stock is pretty
he ain't
good.
gonna be
Yeah.
cheap, right? Especially if you don't pick
Maybe.
up Raw, who do you pick up? Like probably someone.
Right.
quite a bit
I don't know.
worse.
Well, the
I feel like
Gladiators have to be pretty
I feel
confident
like
they have
you-
something.
I think so.
There's a world in which you get a favorable contract with that player because of the Annalyn and John Galt who have moved over
Yeah,
from
man.
Gladiators.
Yes, possibly.
And
Yeah.
like he might want to
Uh,
work with them. He might have
I-
known that he might not have got picked up
I actually
for
don't. Maybe.
Gladiators.
Yeah.
I actually don't feel that bad about them potentially shipping away Roar if they got a decent sum of money. Because you say that main tanks is probably like the weakest position in the league.
Yeah.
I think that main tanks are very coachable in general. So if you have a good coach, you can upgrade
Well, you
your
do
main
have-
tank
yeah.
position a lot.
You do have
And they're
some-
often the ones who get the bad, like all the shit when
Yeah.
a team looks bad because they're the ones leading the
Yes,
team
yeah,
and
yeah.
they often get picked up the most. So
you-
I think with a good coach, you can upgrade a lot of these contender players or lower tier Overwatch League players.
You do have some teams with 2 really good main tanks, so you wonder if they'd be willing to move one of them, right? Like, so you have Vancouver with Tizzy and Bumper. We saw Tizzy play most of the playoffs. We didn't see Bumper at all. Like, would they be willing to move either of those? Gesture just comes into Seoul. Would they move Marvel? You do have some teams, Super and Smurf, both on the Shock. Would they ever move either of those? I don't think so, but I'm just mentioning them because they have two. Yeah. But like, you have a few teams that have two main tanks.
Marvel's a really interesting one. Do you think Marvel will stay on Seoul? Marvel played well this year.
And then Dallas, you have
keep them as a backup.
Dallas, you have OG and Trill.
But I don't think Trill's at the same kind of level as like a Marvel or a Smurf or something.
No, I mean, like getting a Marvel or a Smurf or even like, the Super, it's like a game changer, right? Yeah. For any team that could be able to swing
Marvel
that.
really would be a game changer for one of these. But I also think that Alpha will go to Paris, so I think Paris will have, Alpha and Ben Best.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably pick up Hanbin there as well.
You guys want to try and wrap up? I know you got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
We got to record another podcast. So.
Yeah. Were there any big moves that we haven't hit yet?
No, that was all the moves. That was all the moves this week.
Was that all the moves?
This week, yeah. All the moves this week.
I don't feel bad about it.
Youngjin,
I don't feel bad about it.
Youngjin stepped too far off the payload and ended up out of the league.
He was super specialist and Rollock hurt him.
Yeah, it did. It hurt him in a bad way.
I think it's interesting that we haven't heard anything come out from the Titans, because I heard rumblings that the Titans were going to make moves, but who knows,
Yeah.
Like, maybe they just decided that they didn't want to make the moves because they couldn't find pieces to replace any of their players.
Yeah.
So, they could... Off-season's been wild so far. It could get even more wild.
Was there a rumor
it will.
Someone... Was there a journalist or something that said Nevix would go to Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah. That was a rumor. Yeah.
I can't remember who...
I can't remember who reported it, but somebody did.
So yeah, I'm trying to find it.
It was reported.
I don't need to talk about it. It's just...
good
information put out there.
I think Toronto's going to actually have a pretty
solid
decent,
team. Yeah,
pretty decent team. Because, there's rumors of them signing Kariv and Agilities, and then there's also rumors of Showfall going over there, and then there's rumors of Nevix going over there. Like, those are all good players.
Yeah.
And
it might be a stack team.
Every Canadian free agent in the league living in Toronto, right?
Never mind.
Oh, there was something about Toby. Did you see the
Toby didn't have as many. He didn't have as many offers as Jae Hong.
Yeah, and he was like,
I
don't want to hold him back, but I really want to play with him. It's the most wholesome duo in the entire league. Somebody out there sign these two players. Please.
But don't put like don't play for bums though. I mean, you can't you can't. Nah, like you don't want to see those two like go somewhere and like lose a ton and like it kind of ruins your vibe a little bit.
Toby Hong, Florida Mayo.
Nah.
Why not?
No.
Take it to Florida and start a proper team for Florida Mayhem and revitalize it. Like, where better to start the rejuvenation of Toby and Jae Hong's career than on Mayhem? They can all be washed up together and then unwash themselves together.
Stop.
Yo, what I'm telling you though. What if? Okay, hypothetical. What if Florida Mayhem going into next year?
End this show.
They pick up Toby and Jae Hong.
Yeah.
And
they pick up you and Wins and they get everybody back together. Right?
No, what I was going to say, but
they get Knox back in there.
He's retired.
No, bring everybody back. Florida becomes like the old man's home.
Well, it's already been for a while now, yeah.
And then what was your?
Okay, so they can just flip their entire their entire brand around. Okay, if they pick up Toby and Jae Hong, and what if they change their branding to the neon colors with like blue, purple, or whatever?
Yeah.
And then you can build a roster that people actually want to watch.
Nah,
and they've just memed on everybody.
Bring
they
in
got Toby, Jae Hong, and they got good branding.
And they pick up Chuck E. Cheese, the main sponsor.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yo.
They bring in Reinforced, IDD Cutie, Miro, Harblue. Bring in
I still get people asking me all the time if Harblue's going to get picked up this offseason. Yeah. No, he is not going to get picked up this offseason.
The new guy is
Zappis, dude. They're bringing Zappis. I love Zappis. I miss that guy.
Snizzle
Justice for Snizzle Nose. He just plays hog.
They need a specialist bringing Yeetle, dude. The ball.
Yeetle. He's not the guy that plays like in gold, but he's a ball only or something.
Yeah. Yo, I'll allow Gary on the roster.
Yeah. Yeetle's like the...
Honestly, I would... If there was a Florida Mayhem team that decided in some bizarro world to be like, let's tank and be like, hey, let's sign Jae Hong, Toby, Reinforce, and just like all these old players, I would be like, oh hell yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah. I would enjoy watching it.
Imagine like Johnny like playing with Jae Hong and like Arhan and I would watch it. I would watch it 100%.
People would actually buy my jersey. They would buy more of my jersey than whoever they had last year. I can't even remember who played for Florida last year. Rain, maybe?
Tyrone would be the coach.
Yeah, Rain did play.
I would watch that team. I'd 100% watch every game that team played.
Yeah.
They'd probably get slaughtered, but I would watch it.
Yeah. Tyrone's looking for a team.
Yeah, Tyrone is looking for a team.
Do you want to talk about Tyrone, Bren?